So, this slide has a lot of information. I won't go through all of it. I will say this, when you're evaluating your own security, or in our case, looking at vendor security, we're looking for sort of the whole network of security. So we've got physical security, network security, application security, and process security. And physical security is easy to see. You can go and you can say, do they have locks on their doors? Are there security cameras? Do people have to buzz in? Is there some sort of biometric scanner to get into the data center where it resides? Man traps, that was a new one. We toured a data center recently that had man traps, and basically it was a system where you could go through one door, but you couldn't enter the next door until the door behind you closed. And there was a camera there, so that you were confined in that room, kind of claustrophobic really, for enough time for them to identify, be able to see who's coming and who's going. And then you had to scan and use your thumbprint at the same time to get through the next door. I mean, that's the level of security that most law firms can't provide, that the vendors can. So, those are things we look for. Not that everybody has to have man trap, but you want you want to be able to see that they can check off some of those boxes. Network security, this is something that you need to have internally and through a vendor. Basic stuff, firewalls, encryption that we've talked about, logging, being able to tell who goes who goes access to the data and when. A little trick on logging is that a lot of the vendors use what's called co-locations. They don't house the data themselves. They house it at a big data center. Usually they rent out a little space and they have their servers in there, and there's a bunch of other servers and other clients. And the question is, are we logging everybody who has access to that vendor's data? Because if the co-location, they usually have a key too. They have to have a key to that rack of servers. Is somebody logging their access? Because if the vendor can tell you, yeah, we know whenever our technicians go out there, but they don't know or don't have a way to know when the co-locations technicians are having access, that is a weakness. It's not a huge weakness, but it is a weakness. Okay. Now, application security, this one gets very technical, and I will tell you, I'm not a computer programmer. This is an area where I think a lot of us drop the ball on doing security audits, because when you hear from a vendor or from a law firm, hey, we're secure, they're usually talking about we've got all these physical measures in place, we've got network security, we can remote wipe, we can do all these things. My question is, but do you have application security? Because if you don't, and application security is the software. If somebody's using software that has a lot of backdoors built into it in code, it's very buggy, it doesn't matter how secure your network is, because if the hacker can get in through the software, they're inside the network now, and they appear to the network to be an authorized user. So there is, this is an area where I guess my tip on that would be leery of sort of fresh out of the box software. If you're using version 1.0, has it really been vetted properly for security? You're looking for people that, and I'm thinking in terms of, in this instance, document review software is the one that we use the most often. And everybody wants to come out with the newest, shiniest toy, use this, we've got this new, it'll do all these things. Well, was it developed properly? Was security a big part of the development, or was this something that was rushed to market to try to grab market share? And I would tell you that this goes beyond sort of e-discovery. A lot of legal apps that you're getting on your phones, there seems like there's these great conveniences. We can get an app that will let us download documents or review our files. I would say, there's cloud-based deposition services now where you're sending out documents, and then you can just give the deponent a tablet, and you can swipe the document over to them. Anytime you're putting data into the cloud of any kind, you need to know, was security a part of designing that application? You just have to ask, and ask around as well. And then process security, are all of the processes in place? Is this something that was one and done? Somebody put a security protocol in place and now they think they're done, or is this something that they revisit? Are they doing background checks on their employees? Is there a breach response plan? I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But these are processes that need to be in place to give you the complete security environment. All right. Now, I wanted to put this slide in here because I think a lot of us think, I'm not a security expert. I'm not a technologist. How do I go in and audit a vendor for security? And a lot of times the answer is you can't. Is there a cheat sheet? And kind of. Okay. There are lots of certifications that are thrown around, and I wanted to kind of distinguish for you the good ones, not from the bad ones, but the ones that actually deal with data security and the ones that don't. Because I've seen co-locations and vendors saying, well, we are SAS 70 certified. Well, they're not. They can't be. There's no such thing. But the security certifications are out there. ISO 27001, the International Organization for Standardization, is a European organization that issues standards, and they have a data security standard that is incredibly rigorous. It's much more rigorous than any standard in the United States. And you see a lot of really secure data centers in America actually trying to obtain ISO 27001 certification. It's very expensive. It's a multi-year process. There's audits that are involved. If a vendor or a data center can say, I've got ISO 27001 certification, that's a pretty reliable indicia of security. Okay? It doesn't mean you shouldn't do your homework, own homework. I mean, you kind of have. I mean, you want to be able to say to the client, look, I looked into security, and I did my best. And this was they were certified ISO 27001, that's a good one. SOC 2 and SOC 3, these are, the American Institute of CPAs has issued several statements on controls that basically lay out a process for auditing to make sure that a company is doing what it needs to be doing. SOC 2 and SOC 3 are data center specific, and what SOC 2 is a report that says that an auditor came in and looked at our data system, our data center, and said, they've got the proper controls in place. These are the weaknesses, these are the strengths. It's a very detailed report. SOC 3 is a summary of that that's intended to be published, and so it acts like a certification. If a data center has a SOC 3 letter, then it is a report, then it has been audited for security. PCI DSS, the financial services folks in here will be familiar with that. That's the payment card industry's data security standard. And the big four credit cards came together a while back and said, we need a unified data security standard because we're dealing in millions of secure transactions every day. And the PCI DSS is that standard. It's fairly rigorous. You generally see it related to financial institutions, but it is a reliable certification. Tier standard you see rarely. You sometimes will see it. This relates to data centers specifically, but not necessarily to security specifically. This is from the Uptime Institute. It is a standard for measuring the reliability of a data center. And what it means is basically, it will show you that this data center has redundant power supplies, backups. It's a reliable center, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's an unhackable center. There's one more that's not up there that I should have put up there, I was talking a little bit about this morning, which is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. That's the National Institute on Standards and Technology. Basically, the NIST came out with a cybersecurity framework in February of this year in response to an executive order from President Obama that said we need a security standard in the United States. They haven't been able to get one through Congress. It keeps stalling for various reasons. And so NIST undertook to create this voluntary data security standard. There's no certification for that NIST cyber security framework yet, but I think you'll see some companies starting to say, well, we're NIST compliant. Or, I think you'll start to see that type of advertising. I don't know how you would verify that at this point, but maybe somewhere down the line that will be sort of the American version of ISO 27001. It just came out in February, so we'll see where that goes. On the other side, you'll see these types of certifications out there being promoted, and you should be leery of them because they really relate to financial reporting, auditing standards, and all these SAS 70, SAE 16, and SOC 1 basically say is, look, this company was audited. They have controls in place. The audit is to ensure financial reporting. As it applies to data security, all it really means is they gave us their data security plan, and yes, we confirmed that plan is being used. But there's no statement there on is the plan any good, because there are no data security standards tied to those. So I would say those certifications show that security has been thought out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's been good. And I've seen people saying, well, we're HIPAA certified or PII certified. I mean, I don't even know what that means, frankly. It's not reliable. If that's what your vendor's telling you, you need to ask more questions. Okay. What do you mean HIPAA certified? You can be HIPAA audited. And again, that's not a data security standard, but it does show that you have some processes in place to protect health information. PII certified, I think that was just completely fabricated.